Well, greetings everyone, and welcome to a very special online event today. It's called Discover Wudang Temple Qigong for Modern Health Challenges, Relieve Pain, Restore Vitality, and Reclaim Balance through an Ancient Daoist Practice. My name is Stephen Dime, the founder and president of the Shift Network, and I'm really thrilled to be here because we have really been so blessed to get to access ancient wisdom systems in this modern context, and we're getting to explore a very important one with a teacher named Lindsey Wei. She's a martial arts and Qigong instructor and founder of Wudang White Horse Martial Arts School. And I think it's going to really illuminate why this Taoist practice is so vital for us in our modern times. So, Lindsey, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Great. Well, we're going to dive in, and I know you've got some demonstrations and practices planned for us. And I also want to let everyone know right up front that we are going to have a brand new program with Lindsey called Wudang Temple Qigong that we'll share more about towards the end of the hour if you want to go deeper and really make this practice your own. So, Lindsey, I would love to start our time together with a little bit about your journey into this practice and Wudang Temple Qigong and what really led you there and committing so much of your life to manifesting it in the world.
Yeah, so I really pinpoint the beginning of this path for me when I was 15. I had a vision that I would spend a significant portion of my life, later in life, it seemed at the time, um, researching and trying to answer these questions that came up when I was 15 and I was in China and I was at the Summer Palace in Beijing, and it was the Hall of Buddhist Fragrance, and I had walked up, many flights of stairs and arrived at the altar, and I saw Guan Yin, the Bodhisattva of compassion, for the first time, depicted in a grand statue with many arms holding spiritual tools and implements of her power. And seeing Guan Yin for the first time, I was struck with this question of what does this mean? Why is she depicted in this way? And I stepped out onto the pavilion, looking out over the like mountain slopes covered in green pine trees. And I had this knowing, without knowing how I knew, again, like I said, that I would return to China later in life to answer these sacred questions that were coming up. And I think this is like a really important starting point for anyone's spiritual path because it we keep these temples open so that these moments can occur, so that the spiritual tradition can find the people who are seeking it. And so indeed, I did later in life decide to embark on another journey back to China. And I think it was really because as a youth, I wanted to find a purpose in life that hadn't been set out for me by society. I saw what society prescribed as a life path, and it didn't feel like the one that was my purpose. So I returned to China later to learn Chinese, discover my heritage. I already had an interest in movement arts, and one thing led to another. I started learning modern wushu in Beijing, and then I, journeyed over the summer to Shaolin Temple. And at the Shaolin Temple, I heard about the Wudang Mountains. And when I went to the Wudang Mountains, I, the rest was history because when I arrived at the Wudang Mountains, I felt like I had come home. And I felt that this style not only had the grace and beauty in the movement practices, but it had co-evolved over many years with the Taoist spiritual and religious tradition. So it had everything that I was looking for. I trained in the mountains there for a few years before I actually met my Shifu, Li Shifu, who I'll talk about later. And I met him actually even more remote and further away from the central area of the Wudang Mountains on a mountain called White Horse Mountain, which is the namesake of my school now. And he was the abbot of a small temple called the Five Immortals Temple. And, upon meeting him, I became his disciple and continued learning from him ever since then. Started bringing Western students to the temple to continue learning, as well as opening my own school here in America to teach those arts that I had learned through this Chunyang lineage. And it's at that White Horse Mountain Five Immortals Temple, which is the content of the upcoming course, the morning Qigong set that we do every day at the temple.
Hmm. Well, what a fascinating journey, and thank you for just being courageous enough to do all that exploration that brought you to your teacher and bringing it to the West now. So let's maybe it'd be good to situate us a little, because there's a lot of different lineage of Qigong practice, and maybe share a little bit more about what makes Wudang Temple Qigong really unique and sort of where it situates in the overall landscape so people understand where it can benefit them.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I mentioned, kind of the main overarching category here is the Wudang style. So, that's the Wudang Mountains, which is central China. And the Wudang Mountains, for most of its history, has been linked to a Taoist tradition. So, a lot of the Qigong or martial practices from the Wudang Mountains, as I said, co-evolved with the Taoist tradition. So you will see elements, values, worldviews inside of the Qigong systems and the martial systems that are very interrelated to Taoist practices, such as mantra recitation, invocations of deities, hand seals, geometric symbols on the ground or in the body. And so I think what makes this Qigong set unique is that Taoist component and the way in which it is situated within a Taoist worldview and Taoist values. And aside from that, this Qigong set, as I said, I think what makes it special is that these are movements that the Grandmaster of the Chunyang sect, so in Wudang and in Taoism, we have different schools of thought that have developed throughout history. And the Chunyang sect is a Taoist sect that was founded by the Lu Dongbin, is a Taoist immortal, part of the lineage of Taoism. His nickname was the Chunyangzi, the pure yang one. And this had to do with his practice in alchemy of transforming the light body into a pure yang body. And so we have Chunzhen Taoism, which Chunyang is a subsect underneath. So Chunzhen is complete reality, Chunyang is pure yang. And this Qigong set are movements that my Shifu, Li Shifu, as we call him, has selected of all of the different sets that we practice on White Horse Mountain and at the Five Immortals Temple. These few movements that will be the content of the 7-week course are what he has selected as what we would assume the most important to do daily, not only for health, but also for building what we call our gong, or our skill and power, which is important especially as a healer. So it would be the sort of the backbone of all of our healing capacity is this gong that we build through our own personal practice, such as Qigong. I think that some of the movements that I'm going to share today, it's worth noting, are sometimes thought of in the category of Daoyin. Daoyin is a category of Yangsheng. Yangsheng is life nourishment practices. It's ways of living, really. It includes diet, seasonal alignment, how to arrange your home, feng shui. It's a lifestyle. And it can often include prescribed movements to improve health. Just like how, a doctor would suggest eating certain foods to regulate your health, a doctor may also prescribe certain movements to regulate your health or address certain issues that you're feeling. And where Dao Yin is a little bit different than Qigong is just in that there's simple therapeutic exercises, sometimes almost thought of yogic stretching, whereas the category Qigong, I've always thought of it as Zhan Zhuang, or standing pillar unified with breathing. So standing meditation and breathing. So that kind of situates the Qigong set that I'm going to teach both today and in the 7-week course.
Great. Well, that's a very comprehensive overview. That's really illuminating. I want to ask about the daily gong, and I understand that it's particularly important in this lineage to work with the rising sun, which is very common in these Qigong lineages. Maybe share a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So to align our daily lives with what we call heavenly timing, which really just means the timing of the sun and the moon, and how we view those movements of these celestial bodies or heavenly bodies of the sun and the moon from Earth. And when the sun rises, it nourishes all things on the planet Earth, right? We can't live without the sun. And just like how a plant needs that morning sunlight, especially, so the morning sunlight has a special type of qi, which is what we call a rising yang qi. And we want to harvest that. We can't actually harvest that specific qi past high noon because that's when the sun begins its descent. And so when it is descending, that yang qi is slowly diminishing and the yin is rising. This energy of the rising sun, that rising yang movement, is specifically what we want to nourish our body. So it's best when we can harvest that very special time period of the sun rising, to accumulate that gong or that qi inside of our bodies. It's similar to sometimes I think of like a solar panel, and where you might choose to place that solar panel. If you face it away from the sun, or where it's only getting a little bit of afternoon sun, it's not going to charge the battery as efficiently or as much. And it's very similar to this with our own physical bodies. So the direction and the time of the facing direction and the time at which we practice is a factor, and a special way that we can enhance our practice. But I do always like to mention that sometimes in our daily lives we can't reach that particular moment to practice, and so any time of day is also completely fine to practice any of the movements.
I'd love to hear a little bit about what are the special kind of outcomes or benefits of this lineage, that in terms of like some of the health benefits and other benefits that are common.
Yeah, so health benefits are really going to be that we can increase circulation, and circulation is a cornerstone of our health, really. Where we say, where there is movement, then there is life. And anywhere where there is stagnation, we have the ability, there's the potential to accumulate disease and lack of blood flow. And so I think we're just increasing circulation of qi and blood, and we are oxygenating the blood by this mindful inhale and exhale, this tuning of the breathing, almost like tuning an instrument. So we're getting into the subtleties of breath work. And I think taking time to be inside of your body, also tune into your senses, be away from work and constant stimulation. It is going to help recharge our batteries. It's going to balance our emotions. All of these things sound very simple, but they really have great power. And when our emotions are out of balance, it affects our thoughts, it affects our nervous system, it affects our actions in our daily life. And these are all of the things that will later then, through our action and then the reaction in our life and in our bodies, that can be what increases our health, or it can be what causes imbalances in our relationships and in our internal systems. And like I said, beyond health and happiness, emotional well-being, mental well-being, I think that for anyone who engages as a healer, this is going to be essential for, as I said, recharging your own battery, building up your own magnetic field or your gong, so that you can have this power to heal, but also protect yourself. And it can, I think the meditative component too, and this observation of our mind and of our thoughts, not only harmonizes, our daily well-being, but it can also fulfill this innate drive that we all have, I think, to understand what is reality and what is our own existence. Why are we here? Where did we come from? And it's through this observation of the mind itself that we can find those answers, and through Taoist philosophy. So I think that this is not only a movement set for health, but it can be an anchor or a route to spiritual fulfillment, in which you can feel a connection to spirit, a connection to the celestial realm, or the heavens, as we say, Tian, and truly find yourself in your body, in your senses, present in the moment, able to connect to above, below, and have this, if you should choose to, communication with the world around us, communication with our own bodies.
That's what it's all about, connecting heaven and earth through our bodies. So what a beautiful offering. I think now, I know you want to spend a good chunk of time taking us through the practice and giving us some forms that we can really work with ourselves. So why don't we transition to that now?
Yeah, that sounds good. So let me just introduce a little bit about what we're going to do today. So today I would really like to offer the viewers some simple Dao Yin, or guiding and pulling Qigong movements that you can apply throughout your day anytime. It's going to be specifically designed to help with, if you find that you're working many hours a day in a seated position, or perhaps you have to be driving in a car in a seated position daily, and this kind of sitting has become habitual, and you've noticed that that has degraded your health in one way or another. I think specifically, I can personally say that from increased sitting from work, I can experience low back pain, which then can precipitate down into my knees because of the alignment. Certain chairs that we sit in actually are diminishing blood flow, and it's that kind of pooling up in the hips causing stagnation. So these movements that I'm about to share, I would like to suggest that the audience can take individual ones and do them throughout the day. Maybe every couple hours after working and sitting, you stand up and you go through these movements and you apply them throughout your day. So yeah, let's try them together. Okay, we're going to begin with our feet shoulder width apart. And we're going to clasp our left wrist with our right hand. And we're going to do a Taoist hand seal. So it looks like this. And we are right away, as soon as we start with a single movement, we have hand seals and we have alignment with acupuncture points and meridians. So here's the hand seal that we're forming. And we're going to place both hands on the Mingmen, which is slightly above the sacrum, this gate of life. And we're going to apply pressure with our right hand, squeezing onto a point that we call Neiguan, which is the inner pass. So once we have this all aligned, we're simply going to circle through the pelvis. So let's take our pelvis to one side, then to the back, then to the opposite side and the front. And we're just going to circle the pelvis in this way slowly. Knees are slightly bent. We're reaching out through the top of our head and keeping our head positioned stably. We don't need to, the head is not moving, it's staying in one position. We're going to inhale for half the circle. This is important. So we inhale, and then for the opposite half of the circle, we're going to exhale. In this way, we're regulating, harmonizing our breathing. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose. Tip of the tongue on the roof of the mouth behind the front teeth. Inhale, exhale. This movement is called Bulao Qingsong, never old, light, and free, like the green pine tree. So just like a pine tree stands for hundreds of years in one position, this posture mimics that longevity idea of stillness. Breathing in, breathing out. So here we're getting movement through the pelvis, which has had stagnation from sitting for many hours. We're going to now clasp the opposite wrist. So now left hand clasping right wrist, squeezing on the inner pass, Naquan, about 4 fingers up from the wrist crease, placing that on the Mingmen, essentially on top of the sacrum, a little bit above. All of these alignments of acupuncture points, the hand seals, aligning the meridians through the fingers, are all designed to calm the spirit, calm the nervous system. We're going to reverse the direction we are going. We're going to go to the side, back, side, front. Harmonize the breathing again. Inhale, exhale. You can make this movement as large or as small as you like. You can, when extending through the top of the head and tucking the chin, possibly even feel the vertebrae at the base of the neck gaining movement and gaining rotation as well. This posture is stimulating what we call the belt meridian, the Dai Mai. So the belt meridian is kind of like the equator of the earth. It wraps around our center. If the spine is like the axis of the earth, the Dai Mai, the belt meridian, is like the equator. By nourishing and tonifying the belt meridian, as we're doing right now, we can call back, again, that yang qi that we were talking about, that yang qi like from the sun. We have that yang qi within our body, which is our life force energy, and we slowly, through the aging process, can lose it and leak it out, especially through our root, right? And so when we do this motion, we're stimulating the belt meridian, which keeps all that life force energy kind of cinched in, like a belt does. When the Dai Mai becomes weakened, we can lose more yang qi than necessary. So think about your yang qi drawing back up through the root, back up into your body, and stably staying in the dantian because we have this tonified belt meridian. Good, so we can do this 7 times in each direction, anytime throughout the day, or as many times as feels convenient for you. Next movement, let's bring feet together, and we're going to simply circle through the knees. You can place the hands on top of the knees with no weight. You can also stabilize the knee by pinching into these 2 little kind of eyelets, these 2 valleys on either side of the knee, and then the thumb naturally coming up, stimulating the spleen meridian, the sea of blood, Shriya high point right here. We're just going to circle gently through the knees. We can start out really small, putting your mind into your ankles, feeling the rotation there, feeling the rotation through the knees, of course, but then also feeling the rotation deep in the hip socket or the quad. Harmonizing the breathing again. We're going to inhale for half the circle, exhale for half the circle. Doesn't matter which half. So inhale, exhale. I'm going to show you a side view here. We want to sink down through the pelvis, straight back. If you can't go this low, that's okay, but this rising and falling, pumping through the legs is important for pumping blood back to the heart. Let's go the opposite direction. So whatever direction you weren't going before, breathe in and out. If you have trouble kind of bending into this squat position, you can actually have hands counterweight in front of you. You can even use a stool or a wall to help stabilize you. If you were fully able to execute this, you want to rise and fall almost like an accordion, breathing with the movements, pumping through the legs, feet flat on the floor. Good. Next one, we'll go wider, also circling through the knees. These Yang principles are based in simplicity and daily application. So although these are very simple movements, they're enhanced by combining our mind and our breathing and doing them every day. So same hand position. We're going to go inside to outside. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Then reverse, inhale, exhale. Keeping feet flat on the floor, rotating through the knees, hips, and ankles. Pumping blood throughout the body. Good. Next one, we're going to move through our shoulders in a circular motion. This can be really helpful for relieving tension from the neck and from slouching. When we're, working on our computer, slouching forward, there's tension through the chest and shoulders. Making sure that we have rotation and movement through the entire arm daily is important. We're going to sink down into our feet, reach out through the top of the head. And we're going to breathe into one side, tracing the path of our magnetic field. We lift under the armpits, ripple out through the hands, come back towards center. Shift the upper body to center and about 70% of the weight now onto one side. Breathe in. Breathe out. Come back to center. Turn to a 45-degree angle, shift the weight. Inhale. Exhale. Turn and inhale. Exhale. You can picture your energy like a sphere around you. And picture that just like the Earth, our magnetic field rises up from the equator to the pole and back down through the center. Balancing left and right side, oxygenating the blood. Good. Then continuing to picture your magnetic field, just like the magnetic field of the Earth, we're going to reverse the direction. Breathing in, lifting, open, drop down through the elbows, curve the hands, scooping inwards. And again, as if energy is coming up through the root, out through the crown, and circling back down towards the belt meridian, just like the weather patterns of the earth. Inhale, exhale, relax and sink. Let's go one more time each side. Inhale, exhale, relax and sink. Good. Then let's breathe in, gather from all around. Again, picturing that magnetic field, bringing your energy back, storing it into the dantian. Good. And one more movement that I would like to share, very beneficial for lower back pain and pelvis, is called willow sways in the breeze. So this is kind of a big movement, and I want us to enter into it slowly. I want us to start, you can stay facing forward. I'm going to show you the side profile so you can understand the alignment. I'd like us to just start by rolling down into a bent over position to start. Still breathing deep into the lower abdomen. And just let yourself hang over, opening up through the pelvis here. So we're opening through the SI joint and the sacrum and that energetic space we call the gate of life, the Mingmen. Opening this, exposing it to that yang qi from above. Then slowly what I'd like us to do is just loosen up through the lower back, swaying. You're activating the hamstrings behind your legs here, staying actively lifted behind the knee and swinging left and right. Good. So now, when you feel ready, we're going to go into the willow sways in the breeze movement. We'll rise all the way up on one side, rotate palms to face the heavens, going down again, rotate the palms, keeping them cupped upwards. Change direction. Inhale. Exhale, release the lower back and sway. Opposite side again. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Stretching upwards. Exhale. Release the lower back. One more time. Breathe in. Breathe out. When you're complete, just hang over, relax the neck to come up, bend the knees, tuck the pelvis, roll up vertebrae by vertebrae, and restack the spine. Bring one foot in. So before we go back into our conversation, I'd like to just show those postures one more time, one time on each side. And again, I would suggest that throughout our working day, we apply these movements either one by one, just standing up next to your desk, moving and breathing a little bit, sitting back down to work. And I promise you that this will rejuvenate you, allow you to focus better, and prevent or help relieve pain that has already been caused by too much sitting. So again, first movement, Bulao Qing Song, clasping behind the back, pinching on the inner pass, and we're just going to circle and breathe. You could do this just for 60 seconds, for 1 minute. Remember, breathe in and breathe out. Eventually, you will reverse the direction and reverse the clasping hand on the back. One more time, it looks like this. Continuing to circle, feeling that rotation in the base of the neck, feeling space and movement through all of the vertebrae of the spine. Then, either separately later in the day or continuing with this set, you're just going to circle through the knees, squatting down, pumping blood back to the heart through this up and down motion. Unify the breathing, this is important, and reverse the direction. Always matching the breathing, half the movement inhale, half the movement exhale. Then simply open to a wider stance and circle the knees in to out and out to in. Restack the spine, again continuing or separate later in the day. You can harmonize your energetic field, gain movement through the shoulders. Inhale to about a 45-degree angle, exhale. Turn opposite side, inhale, exhale. Eventually reversing the flow, inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Closing by inhale to exhale, storing in the dantian. And then finally, willow sways in the breeze, big movement. You'll warm up to this in whatever way you need to. First, by opening up the lower back by swaying, engaging the back side of the leg, and eventually inhale. Come up, opening through the rib cage. Exhale, release the lower back. Inhale, exhale. Then slowly and carefully tucking the pelvis, bending the knees, rolling up. So this final movement, willow sways in the breeze, too, I just wanted to point out, since we've been talking a lot about that yang qi and harvesting the yang qi. One of the reasons why we keep palm up, even when we're down, we keep palm up. And then when we come up, we, again, face palms up. This is all, again, that same principle of just like rain or dew, it comes down from the heavens above. So does this yang qi. So if we don't have palms up, so we know this, the yong trend is like a small little bowl, a place where energy can pool. If the bowl is upside down, it cannot accumulate that subtle energy like dew would accumulate on a leaf. And so we'll often see this theme in different movements that are meant and designed to harvest this yang qi from the rising sun in the mornings, palms facing up. So I hope that that can be of benefit for all.
What a wonderful demonstration. Thank you. And it's really intriguing about the yang qi sort of descending from above and that you're kind of harvesting it with your hands and your body. That's not something I've heard elsewhere. Is that sort of a more unique kind of aspect of this lineage, or is that something that you see elsewhere as well?
So I think that it is universally thematic in Qigong and in Yang Sheng practices. Maybe it's just that through my own research and observation of the world that it has become so simple and makes so much sense to me. It's really because since we can't see qi as readily as we could see like water or dew, for example, it's harder for us to grasp the true realness of it. And yet we do see we can see the effects of tonifying our chi, boosting our chi, and also what happens when our chi is weakened, right? Although we can't always touch it like a substance, it acts just like one. And so just kind of these examples and ways that I'm explaining it are maybe unique or easier to grasp, but I do think that it is a universal principle of Qigong. Yeah.
It also seems to me that there's more focus on the breath than there is in some of the other forms that I've seen. Is that sort of more common to this lineage, so a stronger focus on the cycling of the breath with each movement?
I think so because so again, breathing, it's so innate that it can be overlooked. However, it is absolutely the mechanism behind all of this, right? So uh, if we don't highlight that and we don't penetrate into the subtlety of our breathing, then we're missing the foundation, right? So, I remember when I first met Li Shifu and I showed him my Tai Chi form, and the first thing he said to me, he said, "So where is the inhale and where is the exhale?" And I went through it and I was kind of like, I don't really know. It hasn't really been exactly told to me at the time, right? And so I remember that teaching very clearly. And he said, without the breathing, the Tai Chi it's meaningless.
Mm-hmm.
So that is, like I say, the core piece. If we are leaving out the breathing and just doing the movements, it's like an engine, like a vehicle engine where the ignition timing is off. It's not firing at the proper moments. So everything being slightly misaligned is causing unnecessary wear and tear. And I think that our breath is a lot like this. And I've also likened it to like tuning an instrument. So if the instrument is slightly out of tune, that produces a very different effect in our bodies and in our nervous system than if that instrument is perfectly in tune. That music can actually move mountains, right? And so the breath is similar, tuning the breathing, making sure that we're paying attention to that mechanism is the most important component.
Really, really makes a lot of sense. Well, I love the form that you're offering, and I think it's very powerful. And I think you've got a great way of translating the ancient practices into a really modern understanding as well. So let's talk a bit about your upcoming program where you're going to really take people further in making this practice their own. And so we're first of all very grateful that you're offering this course, and it's called Wudang Temple Qigong. Taoist healing practices for easing pain and revitalizing your energy for better health. And you can find it at the URL wudangtempleqigong.com. And Wudang is sort of how you spell it, Wudang Temple Qigong.com. There are no prerequisites, so you don't have to have studied Qigong or this particular form in order to benefit from this practice. So Lindsey, I'd love for you to share some of your intentions for what people will come away with from this program, and then we can go through the modules and give a tour of what you'll be teaching.
Yeah, my intention for this course, this 7-week course, is to provide participants with a movement set that can be like a route that they always return to, a route and a vessel. So we can learn so many forms, right? And many of us have learned many Qigong forms. But just like, the saying of like, the monkey swinging from vine to vine, put one banana under the armpit and then goes to reach for another one, and each time it drops the banana, right? And so if we could have one set that would do everything for us, not only maintain our health, but provide that vessel for spiritual practice, something that even when we are lost on our path, we feel like we've lost our purpose and our direction, our compass. This set, that's kind of what it is for me. It's not just a movement set, but it is a vessel for all that is important to me, what I believe in, my worldview, my passion, my connection to not only my own body and mind, but also the world around me. So my true hope is that this set can not only improve everyone's daily life and health, but also provide spiritual nourishment and like an anchor or root for when they lose their way or feel out of balance or feel out of touch with themselves. It's also my intention and hope to situate this Qigong practice within a Taoist cosmological worldview, explaining what that is, what the cultural context from which all of these practices came was, so that we can understand the tradition more thoroughly. And it makes me very happy to share specifically this set, because this set is the exact set that a practitioner or a resident of the Five Immortals Temple in Wudang of our Chunyang lineage would be practicing every morning when they wake up at the Five Immortals Temple. And I just feel excited to share our lineage with the world.
Yeah, I love the visual of everybody being transported to that beautiful mountain. So module 1 is called Enhance Vitality and Flexibility with Bone Marrow Washing.
Yes, so module 1, we will be exploring what is this practice of bone marrow washing. I think in a nutshell, bone marrow washing is to cleanse and activate the connective tissue or the fascia network, which is this network that protects and holds all of our vital organs and can be the matrix through which all of our systems, our internal systems, are communicating. The marrow itself, at the center of the bone, is considered a vital Jing or essence. It has our DNA design, our DNA blueprint inside of it. It can regenerate flesh, regenerate cells. So in this way, all of the movements in the bone marrow washing set are likened to a jar full of, in this case, dirty water, dirty, stagnant water. It's got sediment caked up on the side. And so how do we clean such a condition? We have to shake it, agitate it, get it moving. And then we take it through a filtration process, which we call tuguna shin, expel the old, grasp the new. We filter that out and thereby purify and cleanse, even on an epigenetic level, our ancestry and our DNA.
Very cool. Module 2 then goes into cultivate balance and presence through Dragon Chi returns to source.
Dragon Chi returns to source is a very calming therapeutic movement, integrating breathing, following the yin and yang directional flows of the 12 meridians, sort of harmonizing, ironing out all of the energetic through our meridians, judging the meridians. And it's this idea of the dragon chi, which is the chi of our mind, all of that energy of our thoughts coming back into the present moment and being stored inside of the body and circulated inside of the body. So this is the dragon chi returns to source posture.
Module 3, heal and transform through the elixir phoenix sun posture.
Yeah, so this is a treasured posture of our sect. It is called Danfeng Chaoyang. The elixir phoenix worships the sun. And so at the temple, we do have the conditions where we can step out the gate, out of the door when we wake up and see the rising sun. It's this perfect view. This condition is very difficult to find, in our daily lives, wherever we might be living. It's a rare setting to find. And so I will be teaching us how to do this sun ingestion practice if we have those perfect conditions, but I'm also going to be teaching it especially for if we do not. So it can be done, here in my living room, and I can connect with the energy of the sun through any of the kind of brightness which is surrounding me. And this is not only to enhance our spiritual perception, but it is very has a high amount of efficacy for healing any type of vision ailment. And that is based solely just on these extrinsic eye muscle exercises that we're going to do together. So that's the elixir phoenix worships the sun.
Sounds amazing. Module 4, cleanse and revitalize your body with Crow Qigong.
So Crow Qigong, also known as rhythm detox method, we also lovingly call it Ha Ha Gong because we make this sound ha. And it's really a system of Pai Da, or self-tapping on over 20 points, acupuncture points on the body, that we will map and go over and memorize and be able to stimulate. And because of this expression of sound, combined with a heel rock, combined with this stimulating of the points, it is highly effective for removing stagnation and detoxifying the body, moving any type of stuck energy that we're having trouble moving through, that could be any type of trauma or grief as well.
Module 5, illuminate your energy centers to cultivate balance and stillness.
Yeah, so these postures are going to directly illuminate and provide us a methodology of focusing the mind inside of the elixir field. So that's the upper, middle, and lower dantian. We're going to combine Taoist hand seals and visualization in order to achieve a deeper understanding and connectivity and ability to accumulate qi in those energy centers, which is, again, a cornerstone of our meditation practice, our alchemical transformation.
Module 6, strengthen your foundation with the sinking and rising pillar exercise.
So sinking and rising pillar is a simple squatting and rising exercise that combines a reverse breathing through the microcosmic orbit. And it is we also call it Tai Chi pillar. So it's a foundation of your Tai Chi Chuan practice. And it's so important for our meditation and alchemical sublimation that, again, it has been put into the set that we do every morning for all practitioners who pass through the Five Immortals Temple. So this sinking and rising pillar is a very important posture, according to my Shifu.
And finally, Module 7, master the full Qigong set to nourish longevity and spiritual connection.
So in the final module, we'll be bringing everything together. It will be a complete set that, depending on repetitions and time spent, it can be, up to an hour-long practice, or it can be in small bites throughout the day, or compressed into even just a 5 to 15-minute practice. I think that it's the most important thing that I've found in a busy modern daily life is really just to do little bits that are attainable and sustainable. So we're going to bring that all together in Module 7, and we'll go over the closing postures, and we will make sure that everyone has that, like I said, vessel, which is their practice, that they can take with them for the rest of their lives.
Well, what a beautifully designed program, and I'm sure it's just going to bring so much value in the lives of everyone who chooses to go through it. Again, the whole program is laid out in detail at wudangtempleqigong.com, wudangtempleqigong.com. So if you choose to join, you'll get not only the 7 90-minute live sessions with Lindsey, which will also include audio and video recordings, as well as word-for-word transcripts, all of which are super helpful so that you can kind of really keep going back to the practices and instruction to refine them and make them part of your life. You'll also get weekly exercises and practices for home. There's a Facebook community to support you and deepen your experience, as well as small group time to connect with other participants. And on the page, you'll see a number of extra bonuses that are all added to enhance your journey and the depth of your practice. There's a video with Lindsey called Gazing Inward, Court of the Pinecone Mud Pill Palace. Very intriguing title. Share a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so in this meditation lecture and guided meditation, it discusses the magnificence and the brilliance of the mind. And in the Neijing, too, or the internal body map that we will be going over in our modules as well, the mind and this location of the mind is referred to as the mud pill palace. And the brain itself, you can see why it would be called like a mud pill. And the inscription on the Neijing, too, actually next to the Mud Pill Palace, says that the entire universe is held in a single grain of rice. And so we're just kind of in that video, I'm introducing the basics of seated meditation according to Taoist methodology and discussing just how much the mind and the mindscape play a role in that practice.
That's a great extra bonus. There's another video, a second one called Reclaiming the Mind, Jin. Can you share more about that one?
Yeah, so the Xin, which is literally translated to heart, sometimes translated to heart mind, it is this essence of our mind and our thoughts. And so to reclaim it is all about first gaining an awareness of what is it doing anyways, right? Like we have all these voices and activities that are happening inside of our mind that we may or may not have the tools with which to properly observe. So we go into how to reclaim our own mind, teach it to focus on what we intended to focus on, teach it how to be detached, teach it how to emanate positivity instead of looping in negativity. And we, in this way, reclaim ourselves by reclaiming our thoughts and control over them.
Amazing bonus, just that one. And then there's one special extra bonus you get if you sign up by midnight tonight Pacific time, which is our way to encourage you to take the time to tune in at wudangtempleqigong.com and really sense if this is the right next step for you. And if you do move forward, you're going to get a special bonus to do so. It's called Yang Sheng Life Nourishment Lecture by Li Shifu. Want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so this is a really special 1 hour lecture from Li Shifu, the master of the Pyongyang sect, abbot of Five Immortals Temple, my Shifu, for the only time ever actually broadcasting live from the Five Immortals Temple, teaching, and it's all translated into English, teaching about the Yangsheng life nourishing practices and lifestyle. So it's very practical information about how to arrange your home according to feng shui, what to be mindful of that you're eating or engaging in, the objects in your home, the environment in which you live. He discusses all of these things, and it's really such a treat to even just in a way sit in the same room with him and experience kind of what his presence is all about. So it's very special access to that lecture.
What a blessing to receive that. And that's what folks get if they sign up right away. So very good reason to do so. And again, there's more detail on all of these things at wudangtempleqigong.com. A few other things, just logistically, we've got a lot of value in this program. We kept it very accessible though in terms of price. It's just 3 payments of $128, or you save 10% when you pay in full with one payment of $349. The course is going to start on February 12th and run Wednesdays at 9 Pacific, noon Eastern. But even if you can't make the live times, you can still get the full value with the recordings and the transcripts and the community as well. And there's some beautiful testimonials on the page about Lindsey and her teachings and the way she walks the path of stewardship with great care and humility, and all the gratitude from folks who have studied with her. So you're in really good hands, and you will get a very authentic wisdom transmission from the mountains of Wudang, and you will be, I think, really grateful that you've done so. So again, it's all at wudangtempleqigong.com, and you get that special bonus with Li Shifu when you sign up by midnight tonight. So Lindsey, anything that's still on your heart you want to share with folks who are considering diving into the full 7-week program with you?
I think we've shared it all, but if you're okay with it, I was thinking to do a reading from the Tao Te Ching to kind of bring our tradition forward, bring the teachings of Lao Tzu into the space, and leave the audience with something to think about.
Perfect.
Okay, so this is chapter 67 of the Tao Te Ching, and it's translated here. I'm using a Louis Komyathi translation. I have 3 treasures that I maintain and protect: The first is compassion. The second is frugality. The third is not daring to be first in the world. Through compassion, one can be brave. Through frugality, one can be expansive. Through humility, one can become a vessel elder. Chapter 67.
Love it. Well, beautiful way to close. And thank you for the depth of your practice and sincerity of your work. And thank you for sharing your wisdom with us today, Lindsey. And thank you all for coming. And if you'd like to go further into this beautiful practice, you can do so at wudangtempleqigong.com. And you'll get that special bonus with Li Shifu when you sign up by midnight tonight. Thank you so much. Many blessings.
Thank you.